Ah, thank you. I
All
gotta do it.
right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Regina. I have my friend Albert Corey with me today. Albert Corey is absolutely amazing. Let's see. There's just so much I can tell you about Albert. He has been in business for, let's just say, a really hot moment, like over 40 years. And he is an expert at business growth and development. So he does all kinds of different things. He is an author of best-selling business literature. He impacts in thousands of entrepreneurs. I've got so much information here on Albert. I'm not even going to cover all of this, but he has assisted, let's see, I think he says approximately 25,000 business owners. Oh my goodness, that is so much. He's worked around alongside with Grant Cardone, Walsh. Oh my gosh, I can't speak this morning. Tony Robbins and so many other people doing what he does. And he's a numbers guy. So he knows all of that number stuff. You know, that tax stuff, that accounting stuff, that bookkeeping stuff, those things you have to do because you own a business. Yeah, he can help you grow your business and make sure you're actually accounting for it properly so that the IRS doesn't come after you. Welcome, Albert.
Thank you, Regina, for having me. By the way, if you're watching this is a tax deduction. You realize this? Yes, because if you're learning something and you're moving your business forward, now this is a deduction.
Who knew? I didn't even know that. Good to know. So I know you help a lot of startups as well. And when you think about starting a business, that is like one of the things that I think a lot of people, they start a business because they know what they do, they have some kind of a skill, they want to market that skill, and all of the business stuff, that's like a whole different story. So when you're working with those first time people, what do you do? What do you tell them?
First thing I would tell it is, do you want to be rich or do you want to be poor, Regina? Answer that one
Rich.
first. So if you want to be rich, then you got to treat it like a third child or like one of the kids in your family. So part of that is once you start having that thinking, you want to quickly open up a corporation. People don't open it up because they're scared to pay that. Like if we open it up for you, $350, we open it up for you in Florida, but they're afraid to spend the money. Oh, I got to ask my boyfriend. I don't know if it's going to work. But see, you can't go with that attitude. You got to say, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to open up a corporation, because when you open up a corporation, now, like I said, now it's a kid. And once you start treating it like a family member, like an infant, and start letting it grow, that's how you're going to grow it and make money and meet other people.
Now, when I think about corporations, because all of the businesses that I've ever started, and I've had multiple LLCs in the past, and the current business is incorporated as an LLC, and when I think about that, at least for me, and this is what I want to discuss with you. At least for me, I don't LLC immediately. I wait and see if my business is viable, and if it's
Uh,
viable, then I'm like, okay, now
no.
it's
You
real.
see,
I'll make it.
that's where you go to my second point. Are you willing to max out of your business a credit card for your business? See, to me, you the minute you have a thought for, okay, my threshold is, if you have a thought for more than 20 minutes, then it's worth spending the money to open up the business. Especially if you have a real job, a W-2 form job in middle America, and you're single, or you're married and you're making over 150, married to, couple, making over $150. I'm sorry, 150K, because you're going to let the government pay for you learning. You understand? Especially if you're a new kid on. Remember, we said it's a new kid on the block. Um, if you go to university and you go to trade school, oh, I like this one. Doesn't Can't you write off going to trade school? You get a credit for going to school, right?
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, you get credit. You get, if you go to school, the government gives you credits for going to school. Well, think of, and this is how I just thought of right now, Miss Regina. Think of opening up your business. The government's giving you credit. The credit is you can write off everything to get the business going.
So let me ask you this question. So, because I've had this discussion with tax accountants before, and it's unless you're actually bringing something in,
No,
bringing
that's
some money
not
in,
true
you
either.
can't write stuff off. So tell me
No,
about that.
no, 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 no. My thing is, we just did a whole YouTube video. So if you go to bettercallalbert.com, you'll see all my social media links. That the real rule is are you moving the business forward? So it's like, remember we started this off. So if you're watching this and all of a sudden you're taking notes on what I need to do to take my business to the next level, well, then this is a write-off. If you're using Zoom during COVID because you want to have morning coffee with your neighbors because all that other nonsense, then that wouldn't be a write-off. But if you're using Zoom or StreamYard to figure out how to take a business to the next level or learning something to move something forward, it's a deduction. Think of it as another great analogy is when they build shopping centers, okay, they open up companies. But when you build because we just built even my son's house. Well, it could take you at least 2 years from the time you break ground to the time you move in, right? To move into a house. Well, if you're a construction company, all that is written off. Same thing in your business. So whoever's telling you that it's not about making money, because think about another analogy. If your only thing in life is selling $30 million jets and your commission is 10%, how long is it going to take you to sell one jet for $30 million? It could take you a long time. So it's still a business because you're still in the business of selling that $30 million jet.
That makes perfect sense to me. I've had multiple people tell me that opposite side, and now this makes so much more sense. And now that I really understand it, trust me, I'm going back to these people and letting them know, no, this is a write-off.
The difference is, Miss Regina, what makes me the cool kid on the block is, I know we met a little while ago, is because I'm a business nerd. See, what makes me different than all the rest of the tax guys is, I've done Facebook. I've done Facebook ads, Uber, eBay, coaching, books, online, storefronts, beepers, cell phones, mortgage, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. So I am a business person. See, I'm a business person first and maybe a tax person second. What did I mean like that? I can talk your talk. Most accounting people can't talk your talk. And that's why you get railroaded, because you understand what I'm like, I can talk your talk right now. And they can't understand what a VA, like in this industry, they don't understand what a VA is. They don't understand what memes and coaching and, you could spend a shitload of money to get things going because you might have to spend money to go, to have a coach take you there. Or it might take you a little bit to have that aha moment to figure out, I need to use StreamYard to get my shows across.
And so this makes so much sense. And I really love the fact that you have the business background and the accounting background to go with it, because I know many, many, many coaches and consultants who are starting their businesses. And there's so many out there right now, with the advent of COVID. It's like everybody became a coach. Yeah, everybody and their brother became a coach, which it's going to eventually level off. And those that really shouldn't have been a coach will phase out. Right now, it's still a pretty saturated market. And so, finding what makes you unique and stand out from the crowd can be a real challenge for some of these businesses. And they focus on all of that stuff and they ignore the actual business building stuff. They're so busy starting up and trying to stand out with their core genius that they ignore everything else. And so talk about like the pitfalls of doing that.
Well, I've been speaking on stages for about 5 years, and I'll be the first one to tell you that when I speak on stages, that my stuff, everybody wants what I call the sexy thing. So I go on stage. Listen, I'm be full transparent. I go speak on stages, and I love everybody who goes before me. Whether you're writing a book, she sells 20 of them, how to write a book, how to do an AI, because everybody, what gets me upset about, not that my friends are all making money, and I didn't make money that day or didn't make a lot, is they don't understand that my skill set is probably more important than all that other shit. And I'm not picking on my friends making money, don't get me wrong, but the business owners don't understand that you need to know how to run the business. You can know how to write a book, you can learn all the AI you want, but if you don't understand your business, how to run it, what you need, all that stuff is you just killing time and wasting money.
Well, one of the things that I get very frequently is people don't understand their numbers. And I mean, this is all kinds of numbers. So this is, what's your cost? What's the cost of a new client? What's the cost of keeping an existing client? All of that stuff. Numbers are important. Numbers are extremely important. Can you talk about the business side of things when it comes to numbers?
Simple. It's one word. How much did you make? My opening line, if I can tell my opening line when I speak on stage, could use just a little bit extra profit at the end of the month. And if you could, I want you to say cha-ching. Because the end of the day is, what are you getting at the end of the month? And then if you got a regular job, is how are you connecting it? You understand how are you writing things off? Because a lot of these people starting up also have a regular business, or they're married, that daddy is funding it. Your husband's funding it or something, right? Or using it to get it started. So they don't get that this is all a write-off. Second thing is, I saw this was like 2 years ago, I was in Vegas at a power team event. I told them, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I know you tell me who you wrote the book with, and I'll tell you how much you paid, because I know everybody, in that industry, Regina, it's a small world. So I know everybody, or, I know who they are and I know what they charge. So I go up to this lady and I go, do you need help getting this written off? She goes, oh, my husband's an engineer and we can do it ourselves. I go, okay. But dumb, meaning you open up the company. It wasn't the entity. You open up the company and then you write off everything against your husband's engineer job. Don't do it on TurboTax, or don't go to H&R Block. I'm not knocking anybody, but you got to know nobody who can, remember I said earlier, who can talk the talk and take you there.
Right. And I mean, there's so much when it comes to business that, again, new business owners specifically, they'll start the business and, I do talk to people about, the whole LLC thing. And
excuse me, by the way,
yeah.
They shouldn't be opening up LLCs. No, they need to open up sub-S companies. Because
Really?
if you open up an LLC, you're single member. 99.999999% of people are single members. You don't want that, because when you do your tax return, it folds over to your Schedule C personal return. You don't want that, Miss Regina. You want to make it a sub-S company, so that, think of it as Amazon, where it's its own standalone. You can write everything off and the IRS can't see it. If you put it on a Schedule C, which is on your personal return, the only line I remember on Schedule C is line 7 is car miles. So if you put $8,000, $20,000 car miles, somebody in IRS can say, okay, we want you to send a logbook. Well, because I can program out line 7, Schedule C. If you have more than $3,000 deduction, we want your logbook. Fast forward to a sub-S company, literally speaking, your deductions are on one sheet of paper that connects to the return. I mean, it all gets filed in, but they can't target you. My big thing is for startup people, they can't target you.
Yeah. So explain the difference between the two, because most of us, and I have multiple LLCs right now. So most of us
are they single member, or you got your husband or somebody attached?
No, I'm a single member.
No, you don't want that, darling. Yeah. We need to have a little chit chat afterwards. To put money in your
Apparently.
pocket. Um, um, so what would happen is single member LLCs is you don't have to have partners, but it goes back to your personal tax return. Like I said earlier, I don't want you to have it going back on your personal return. So I don't want the IRS's eyes knowing what you do. I mean, technically they can audit you, but in order to get an audit of a 1120S, they have to physically check your papers. On a Schedule C personal return, they can push a button on anything on your personal return and say, show me the papers. On business returns, statistically, they can't check that schedule. They can't check that form because it's a blank formatted sheet of paper. I mean, it attached to your return, but they can't target. You understand what I'm about by target? They can't target that you spent $492 on your cell phone. They can't target you. On your personal return, they can target any line they want on your personal return.
Okay, so here's the $50 million question, because since I've been in business, and I will, as you can tell, I will fully admit the LLCs, the corporation models, I know this much of.
Right.
And, right, which most people are. So this is a really great chat because there's a lot of people who don't understand that. I'm one of them. So if I'm an LLC and I say, wow, Albert, that makes total sense. Now what do I do?
Well, then you have to send, if you're already an LLC, there's a remedy. You fill in, you send in one form. It's called the 2553. You fill it out, you click a couple of boxes, and in 4 months, you now are a sub-S company, 1120S, which means now you don't need partners. Well, sorry, you are a partner. You're a partner of one, you. And you can have on an 1120S, or it's sometimes called sub-S company, you can have up to 14 partners. I mean,
and so now that's separated. It's no longer a Schedule C. It's
right,
separated.
it's on the business. Right. Exactly. Same protection, does everything. There's a couple of the little things, but startup people don't have to worry about some of the other requirements.
For everybody who's tuning in and catching this on the replay, I know there's some folks on right now, and for everybody who's catching the replay too, this is important stuff. So pay attention to Albert. He knows his thing. He knows his stuff. So Albert, if somebody's starting a business, or even if they're kind of in a business and they're trying to figure out what's my next move, they're focusing on their core genius and really kind of not necessarily paying as much attention to the business stuff as they should. What kind of advice, where do you send them first to get started? Because there's a lot of information here. So
can I tell you where to go? Not trying to be self-starting, but go to bettercallalbert.com and schedule an appointment. Even there, you're going to see all my social media things that will get you started. Because a lot of this stuff on the internet is crap. I was at a place, somebody's a CPA, he goes, oh, no, don't open up a sub-S company because it's going to cost you money. And I said, okay, yeah, it's going to cost you. If I do it for you in Florida, it's $350. And so if I can save you more than $350, all right, then isn't it worth you doing it?
So to that point, in Florida, you're in Florida. So I'm in New Hampshire. So I want to open up my corporation in New Hampshire. And this is going to be like a two-part question here, because I always hear people opening up corporations in Delaware. So, right, talk to me about that.
Okay, well, I live in Florida, and I don't know about New Hampshire. Does New Hampshire have state income tax? I don't remember.
No income tax.
Okay, well, there's 6 states that don't have state income tax. I'm a Florida guy, not because I'm in Florida, because we have no state income tax. See, Delaware, I don't understand. Delaware is good if you're Walmart, Amazon, because they have really good laws to help the big business. But if you're a little wannabe startup, it's not, and I'm not belittling everybody, it's just not worth the extra doo-doo that you got to do there. Another big mistake people use is I'm not a Wyoming fan either. I'm not Wyoming. Wyoming is the only state And I can tell you the only reason why you want to do Wyoming. So Wyoming is different, that it's all locked. The minute you open it up, nobody can know whatever you are, who your partners are, or where your office is, nothing. The downfall is if you try to get a mortgage or somebody wants to check you out to make sure that you're real. I mean, you can go to sunbiz.org, which is the Florida Division of Corporation, and you can see when I'm open, what's my shoe size, you can see everything. And that gets important if you're trying to get loans or do stuff. Because if you're trying to play at a bigger level, guarantee you, Regina, they're going to check you out.
Yeah, so there's always the Stephen Covey quote of begin with the end in mind.
Right.
So if you're starting a new business, think about that end game. Are you looking to always be that solopreneur, or are you looking to be a business, or are you looking to build a company? Because if you're looking to build a company, then set it up right from the get-go. Right. And apparently I'm not set up 100% right because I'm an LLC. So yeah, but we're going to talk.
But nobody, Miss Regina, this is me doing 25,000 businesses and 150,000 returns in 40 years. Okay, so we kind of figured out what we do. Full disclosure, I have no initials. I'm proud. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an EA. So when I tell this to people, I tell you what I feel and how I feel. Because if you go to a CPA or an EA, they got to be a little bit dancy, because if they sneeze wrong, you're going to report them. They're going to get into trouble. In full disclosure, none of my people have ever gotten audited by the IRS. Nobody gets IRS letters or anything, because, I know where to play the game, so nobody gets into trouble. It's playing the game right.
So I just put up your website,
right.
Your 1040w2.com. So I know that on there you've got a ton of information. So when people are looking for info, because obviously you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to businesses, and it sounds like all kinds of businesses, not just coaches and consultants, but brick and mortar.
Can I tell you the story? And then I can tell you what I used to say, but I was told by people I can't say this anymore. Can I tell you what I used to say?
Absolutely.
So I used to say I've worked with kiddie actors. And by the way, what I'm telling you is true. I used to say I worked with kiddie actors and porn stars and everything in between. True story. I've worked with a bunch of kiddie actors. One of them is still around today. And my porn star guy makes $800,000 a year on a deposit a year. So, but I can't say that no more. Now I have to say we work with kiddie actors and truck drivers and everything in between. And we work everywhere from Key West to Maine to San Diego to Washington and everything in between. We got clients.
Wow.
Alaska. We haven't done any Hawaii this year, but we do Alaska now.
And I'm just curious, because you said, like, you're proud that you don't have the initials after you. And I talk to coaches and consultants all the time, and that's one of the things that comes up. I have a free guide that I send out. It's called How to Avoid the 5 Biggest Mistakes Coaches and Consultants Make. And one of them, I think it's number 3, is that the mistake is thinking that you need certifications in order to run a business, and you don't. When it comes to filing taxes and anything like that, are there any, I don't know, like financial guys, they have to have certain certifications?
Well, no, because the tax world is not regulated. Financial stuff, if you try to sell mortgages, bonds, insurance, all that's regulated, because, there's too many scammers. There are scammers. Let me rephrase it. There are people that don't know what they're doing in this industry, but
in every industry.
No. The difference is in what we do, Regina. If you can do it on TurboTax and by yourself, then how can they regulate me?
That's
and
true.
Second of all, let me tell you another little secret advice nobody knows. There's this company called H&R Block, which I started with them 40 years ago. Nobody there, it has no initials. Nobody in the office has no initials. 0. I mean, maybe people in corporate, they do. You understand, though? But in all the offices, unless you went to one of the super specialized EA type offices, but of their 10,000 stores nationwide, because I have their stock from when I used to work with them. Out of 10,990 of them, let's say only 100 of them are super specialized, you understand, with EAs in the office. None of them are CPAs. Maybe a few have EAs. But, that's the difference. Because if you can do it on TurboTax, why would I have to be regulated?
Right. Exactly. So I am looking right now because we are, believe it or not, we've got like 5 minutes left. So when you think about like the most important things that people need to know if they're starting a business or even if they have a business. So I've had my business for a while and I've already learned a whole bunch of things that I need to go look at now. So what is your advice to business owners today?
Part of a business owner's advice is, one, when it comes to the accounting stuff, make sure you ask the questions that they understand what you're doing. Two, don't do TurboTax for sure. Do not do TurboTax. I would not even go, hate to say this, I wouldn't even go to any of these H&R Block, Liberty, Hewitt Jackson, because they're not going to know the questions. They're not going to know what questions to ask you. Like whoever you go to, make sure you're going to ask them, oh, I wrote a book. Do you know what I could write off? And they go, ooh, well then, because if you write a book and that's your bid, remember we're talking about moving your business forward. And okay, well, because you're writing a book, now your house is, parts of the house, cell phone, internet, everything's deductible. But if they can't answer that question, then you move on.
So I have another question for you now, because you just said that about like the house being deductible. A lot of coaches and consultants, they work from their home business. I work from my home office.
They all work from home. They don't have offices.
Right. And so when you think about that, how do you figure out what percentage of your house gets written off?
Well, if you follow our latest YouTube video, if you go on YouTube and go to Albert Corey, I did a whole thing about AI, how AI is a tax deduction. And part of the discussion was we talked about your house. In simple terms, it's in the old days, we used to say, like, if you have a bedroom, let's say you have a 3-bedroom house, that one room is specific for your business. So what is the square footage of the room against where you live? I've always used, because I've done it so many times, that it's between 10 and 15%. Guarantee you your office is between 10 and 15% of where your living space.
Okay. Yeah, because that's interesting. I think that's one thing a lot of people miss is that piece.
And that's huge.
Yeah, it can be really huge. And I mean, you think about that 10%. I mean, that's heat, that's electricity,
Right.
that's
well, I can tell you the average person that I write off, the average is probably about 40. I mean, depending on how much you make, obviously. I'm not going to go do a $60,000 kill job either. But the average person can write off on your business about between $3,000 and $6,000, depending on how much money you make.
Wow. That's amazing. I know people who are, homeschool or not homeschool, they're tutors and they tutor out of their home. I know coaches who do that. I know people who have a mercantile brick and mortar shop and they do all of their office work out of their home. There's so much stuff there.
Oh yeah, but it's even better now. What we're not adding in. What about your internet and cable? Mm-hmm. That's not a percent. It's the same thing. But what percentage of your internet? But here's the kicker, Regina. That I'll guarantee you, 80% of your internet is used for business.
I'd say so in my house.
Right? Right. No, think about it, because the only thing you're going to go on not to use, it's so funny when you say this, that shows I've been doing this for a little bit, right? The only thing you're not going to not be business, against your business is maybe you're watching a Netflix, you're watching Netflix, Peacock, not on shows, and that's even another funny story, but you're watching some, like my wife watches a lot of like Christmas Hallmark-ish type stuff. on Netflix. So obviously that wouldn't be. But even on Netflix, I really get big on, like, you know how Selling Manhattan, all those type of shows, those are business shows. You know, you learn a lot by watching those shows.
And you can actually use your TV nowadays and go to YouTube and watch a bunch of YouTube stuff or podcasts and
Right,
everything
right,
else.
right. No,
Yeah, you can actually do that on your TV.
I do that all the time. But I'm giving you an analogy of how maybe it's now we're down to maybe 80% of your cable bill, and the average cable bill is $70, $80, depending on how fast. You know, the average internet is $80 right now. If you want semi-fast speed, correct? I don't know how much you pay. It's about $80.
Yeah, that's about right. No, that's about right.
So can you imagine you could write off 80% of that? 80 times 12 is 960. Let's say 960. That's $800 written off legally. Wow. This is not no fake shit.
This is a really great chat because I'm learning a lot. I know the folks who are listening and will be listening on replay are going to learn a ton from the business side of things, and especially for this stuff. So we are out of time now, and I mean, I could start asking you 20 more questions, but we're out of time, so I can't. However, I know I have over on my other screen over here your bettercallalbert.com. There's a ton of information. This is not just a calendar link. This isn't just a calendar link to Albert. Tell us what's on this page and why it's important.
Well, what I learned was, by the way, you always got to pay. Here, can I give another quick tip?
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to spend money, and don't be afraid to lose money. I've lost probably, I hope my wife's not hearing this shit, probably about $60,000 to $70,000 on people who didn't produce. But that's how you find, you know, you get screwed by one, but that you lead to somebody else. But the reason why it was done that way is I realized, and I started hanging out with the smart people in the room, that now that is my calendar, but that's everything page. Because at the end of the day, when you go to Better Call Albert, not only can you book appointment, but now you have everything me with me. So when you do a regular calendar link, like you sent me, it's not selling me anything. I'm in a business of making money. I'm in a business of touching you anyway, touchy-feely any way I can. So why would you send somebody, Miss Regina, to a regular calendar link that it doesn't have a YouTube video, it doesn't have all my social media, it has everything there. You want to buy my book? Go to Better Call Albert. You want to join my TV network? Better Call Albert.
I'm looking at it right now as I scroll through over here. You literally do have everything. You have all your contact. You got the video. There's testimonials on here. There's boxes of different places where you had your speaking engagements and doing other things. And then you have a whole list of frequently asked questions. That page is amazing. So whoever is on this call and whoever's catching it on the replay, make sure you click on bettercallalbert.com. If for nothing else, check it out because you need to know Albert. Albert, this has been an amazing chat and so much great information. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Regina. Can I just add one more thing before we go? Guys,
absolutely.
Success is you got to go out and touch people. Remember, we met at Eric's group maybe a month ago or 2 weeks ago. So success is not sitting home. Success is getting off your doo-doo and touching people, because you don't know who you're going to touch that's going to take you to the next level. You remember, you're just one person away to making your billion, to launch into your next level. Who that next person is, you don't know. And that person could be the person of the person of the person of the person. So you need to get out and join, hang out, and do other things. Go to events, go to live events, and just meet people.
That is a great note to end on, because this is how it works. Yes, Albert and I met fairly recently. It's within the past month or so. And look, you never know who you're going to meet. So go out there, meet new people, find the Alberts that are out there that can help you build your business and scale to what you really, truly want to be. So thank you so much for joining us today, Albert. And we will see you all next time on Coffee with Regina. Bye for now.
Thank you.